sales is the most lucrative skill in the world, period. The problem is most sales advice out there today is outdated, cheesy, and can even keep you from getting the deals that can make all the difference in your career. This is the No BS Sales School, a podcast for entrepreneurs and salespeople who want to master the skill of selling without all the BS. Listen, if you're like me, you hate doing admin crap. Number one, because you're not good at it. And number two, because you know it's taking you away from the stuff that actually makes you money. So why are you doing it? Do what I did. Go to worksby.com right now and let them pair you with a real executive assistant. Once I started working with Cheryl at Worksby, my income went up 40% in 1 month, and my working hours went from 70 down to 40. It's a game changer. Go to worksby.com right now, book a call, and tell them Walker sent you. If you do, you'll get 2 extra hours of service for free as a bonus. So if you're ready to finally stop doing the stuff you hate and focus on the stuff that makes you money, go to worksby.com right now. That's WORXBEE.com. Tell them Walker sent you, and you'll get those 2 free hours. Welcome to the WBS Sales Podcast. I'm your host, Walker McKay. Today I want to talk to you about something that just burns my ass. It's people that believe that sales is a personality, or that you have a personality for sales. Bullshit. The problem, well, let me go back and tell a story. So a client of mine hired a guy who the client described me as he's got a personality for sales. People just like him. He has a natural connection, which is great. Those are admirable traits. And the salesperson that he hired has been doing okay. At the old company, he did about $500,000 a year. At the current company, he'll end up doing about $500,000 a year. That's not bad. It's not bad at all for that business. Not bad for a sales guy. What's the problem? You say, Walker, he's doing $500,000. That's not bad. The problem is if you believe that sales is a personality and all you have to have is a personality for sales, then there's nothing you can do to get better. Because if you look at somebody and say, you better improve your personality, young lady, how the fuck do you do that? There's nothing to measure. You can't go back and say, well, clearly my personality just didn't carry the day. But if that's all you're working with is a personality for sales and magnetic and people like you, or you're hiring people because they're magnetic and people like them, I'm not saying those guys can't produce, but they won't get any better because there's no way to look back and see what happened and say, oh, okay, I'll need to do that differently because that didn't work. It also leaves the excuse, well, we just didn't get along because of my personality. Well, again, guess what? It is not the customer's job to get along with you. It is not the prospect's job to decide if to like your personality. The deals that you're closing because of your personality, I'm going to call that's low-hanging fruit. That's the stuff that you probably would have gotten anyway, or that anybody could have closed. Argue with me. I'm happy to have that conversation. Thing about it, what I want you to realize is that sales is, I don't know whether it's more art than science or science than art, whichever one's harder, I've forgotten. But good sales, people that do it well, they follow a process. They know the steps that they need to take to engage with a prospect, to figure out if the prospect's ready, willing, and able to buy. That has nothing to do. See, if we make it all about our personality, guess who it's all about? It's all about us. Sales is never about you, the salesperson. Sales is always about the prospect. And even though you may know without a doubt that you absolutely can help this person if they would only just believe you, wouldn't that be the trick, right? If they'd only just believe me, I could help them. I need you to tell your personality to sit down. Because your personality is going to be optimistic. Your personality thinks that you can convince somebody. All they have to do is just like me, because I'm very likable. What you might tell yourself. Think about it this way. If all you're worried about is people liking you, then you'll be chasing people around, trying to impress them, trying to make them feel good about you, entertaining, doing whatever they want, sending over proposals, cutting prices, doing whatever the hell it takes to get the business because they need to like you. And as soon as they like you, we're good. But see, that's bullshit. And y'all that know me know this about me. I don't care if people like me or not. There's this funny thing called the 20, 40, 60 rule. I think it's pretty true. Up to 20, the way you value yourself, the way you measure yourself is you say, I want to, I want everybody to like me, right? We value ourselves based on how many people like us, how many friends we have, because up through high school, college, soon thereafter, that's how we measure our success, most of us, by how many friends we have. Sometime around 40, we begin to get this attitude where we say, I don't give a shit who likes me or not. I don't care. Because you realize you don't have enough time in your life to chase down all these people to try and make friends with them so they'll do business with you. You don't have time in your life to do that. It's a waste of time. And then the 60 part of that is when you turn 60 years old, you realize nobody's thinking about you anyway. You're not even a blip on the screen. So here's what I want you to think about. Sales is a process. You need to follow a process because your buyer, your prospect is following a process. Their process does not matter about that. Their process does not take your personality into consideration. Their process is how can I get as much information as possible without committing? And they'll do whatever they have to do to get as much information as possible without committing to you, because that's what they see their duty is. This buyers, y'all may have heard this from me before, but prospects have 4 steps in their process. Step number 1 is that they will ask you about price. If they call you or you call them, it doesn't matter. One of the first questions out of their mouth is, well, how much does it cost? How much will it cost me to do this? How much does it cost for this, that, or the other? How much does it cost? If we make it through that initial hurdle of how much it costs, then they move on to step 2. So in other words, if they don't go, what? That's ridiculous, and hang up, then they move on to step 2, which is they invite us in and they're nice. And they ask us a whole bunch of questions and they're interested in what we have. And they show how interested they are by asking us more questions and being excited. It's funny. This sucks people in all the time. This is where, if you're worried about if you know it's your personality is closing business, this is where you'll be a complete sucker. When they are inviting you in, they're asking you questions and they're saying, how this is great, looks really good. How would you do this? How would you do that? Does this work? Does that work? How is this better? How is that better? And man, you are so excited to be able to share what you know, show them how smart you are because they'll like you even more. What a great personality. And they'll ask you to put it in writing, so they can compare things apples to apples. You gladly do that. Maybe you go home and tell your boss, man, I got one. This is great. They really like me. They showed all the buying signals. They were interested. They were nodding their head. They said yes a bunch of times. I got this one. I'm going to pull an asterisk there just to go ahead and ruin the secret. There is the only freaking buying signal there is somebody giving you a check and signing your contract. There are no other buying signals that are reliable at all. People that count on buying signals are fools. So, but you've gotten all the buying signals. You're excited about it. You're happy. You tell the boss. Then the buyer moves on. Your prospect moves on to stage 3. Step 3 in their process, which is say nice things and get rid of you. Hey, listen, thanks for all the work you've done. Appreciate it very much. Apples to apples, all things being equal. Can't see any reason why we wouldn't pick you. So step 2 is get free consulting. Step 3 is say nice things and get rid of you. Step 4, when they've gotten all our information and you're doing what you, and they say, hey, call me back next Friday. So you do exactly what you're supposed to do. I want to be, do what I'm supposed to do. Do it. Buyer's always right. Bullshit. But do it. Buyer's always right. So you call them back and then they see you calling. And they've already taken your information. They've already shopped it to somebody else. They've gone on the internet or whatever. I'm like, man, I don't want, this person was nice. He was very helpful to me. I don't want to tell him I'm not going to buy from him because that would be rude. I don't want to be rude to him. So just go let him get a voicemail. You get voicemail and you say, hello, Mr. Johnson. Just called to see if you had any questions. I know we're supposed to call you on Friday, so I'm calling you today. And so just want to see if you had any questions. Want to make sure you got what I had. Click. He doesn't call you back. Your heart dies a little bit. So you call back on Monday because the boss says, hey, how'd it go? And you say, well, I didn't catch him. I'll call him back on Monday because you're persistent. So you call him back on Monday and you say, oh, get voicemail again because he sees it's you and says, oh my God, I don't want to talk to him because then he'll be pissed at me. Sends you the voicemail. So you leave another voicemail. Hey, Mr. Johnson, just called to see if you had any questions. We're ready to, ready to do that deal when you are. Look forward to talking to you. Click. Your heart dies a little bit more. And then 2 or 3 days later, you call a third time because you're persistent. But about the time he sees you calling the third time and he sees you on his caller ID, and he says, holy smokes, when is this guy going to get an effing clue? I'm not going to buy from him. For God's sake, I've sent a voicemail 3 times. What the hell is wrong with him? Why doesn't he get a clue? Meanwhile, we're just doing what we were told to do. We called him back. We followed the rules. We followed the buyer's process. What's the problem? I was nice. He likes me. Here's the problem. It's got nothing to do with them liking you. It doesn't matter if they like you. I know that's heresy to some people. It doesn't matter that they like you. Matter of fact, it can be a hindrance if somebody likes you. Do y'all have any friends that you know, that you love, that you spend time with, and you know their kids and their family? But if you had a problem, and it was something in their business thing, you had an insurance problem, they sell insurance, or you had a construction problem, they're a construction person. Do you have any friends that maybe you would say, shit, I love that guy. There's no freaking way I want to call him about this. He's a moron. There's no way I want to deal with him in this professional level. We're friends this way, but I don't want to do it that way. Is that just me? Or do y'all have friends like that too? And I love them, but I sure as hell don't want to do business with them. You also have people that you work with now that you buy from that maybe you'd never want to invite them to dinner. Maybe you never want to go out for a beer. Maybe you don't care if you ever meet their wife. You don't ever want to go to their house. You sure as hell wouldn't invite them to come eat dinner with you. But if you've got a problem, they're the ones you're going to call. Don't take me too literally. I don't want you to be a jerk. I don't want you to be somebody that nobody ever invite to dinner, but that's not important. What's important is that somebody trusts you enough to give you money to make a problem go away. That has nothing to do with your personality. If you look, act, sound, taste, feel like a sales guy, they're going to treat you like one, just no matter what your personality is. Especially if you think your personality is so great, you can convince people, and you go in with that, I want to convince them. People can see that shit a mile away. You're a buffoon. Well, not you, but other people that do that are buffoons. Pretend you had a process, right? And the process meant you could be absolutely certain you were the right one to help them. Certain, 100% certain, and know that with all confidence. But, and here's the big but, you're not sure if they're ready for you yet. You're not sure they're willing to pay a premium. You're not sure they're willing just to work with you. You're not sure that they're willing to do whatever it takes to work with you. See, we've got to educate our buyers. They need to know what it's like to buy from us. They've been trained how to buy by crappy salespeople. Your competitors have been trained how to buy by your crappy competitors, which all they care about most of the time is price. Because what's the difference? Why do we care? It's all about price. Everybody says they're better. Better people, better service, better quality. All your competitors say that. It's if you're saying that too, you sound just like your competitors. So how's a poor person supposed to pick? There's some buyer school out there where they're got to get three prices because that's a rule or something. Got to get three prices. And so what happens is they get three prices and one will be $15, one will be $12, and one will be $9, for example. Here's how most people pick what kind of service or whatever they're going to buy. Okay, well, the $9 one's probably shitty because I don't want that one. And by the way, if they pick you because you're cheap, that's not the customer you want, I promise. It's double-edged. Either they're not going to pick you because you're the cheapest, there's probably something wrong. If they do pick you because you're the cheapest, that's the shittiest customer you'll ever have. Now look at the most expensive one. They say, that guy's probably trying to stick it to me. I'd be a fool to do that. I'm probably going with the one in the middle. Everybody sounds the same. Everybody's got the same brochures that say the same damn thing. Everybody's got pretty pictures and great promises. How the hell am I supposed to tell the difference? I might as well go with the guy in the middle. However, maybe the guy who's more expensive is better. I'd be a fool to pay that much, so I'll just try and beat him down on his price. I'll see if I can beat the top guy down to close to the middle guy. If I can do that, hell, I win. But otherwise, I'm just picking the middle guy. Now you answer this. Is that the right way to pick somebody who does what you do? Is that the right way? Hell no, but that's the way people, that they're left their own devices. That's how they do it most of the time. Don't you do that? Most of the time, you probably do. Price is the lead, always, because we don't know any other way. We know it's not the right way how to buy from us, yet we let our buyers do it time and time again. If it's working for you, stick with it. But what I would suggest is be a little pickier. Don't be so sure you're the right one to help them. Even though you know you can help, they may not be ready. They may not be willing to pay a premium. They may not be willing to play the game your way. Have conversations with people about what's really going on with them. Does it make sense for them to switch? Does it make sense for them to change? Even though they're coming to you saying, hey, I need X, I need a new accountant, or I'm ready to hire a new lawyer, or I need a new piece of equipment. Before you say, hey, have I got one for you? You're going to love this. I want you to say, and I'm happy to talk to you about that, but why do you think you need a new accountant? Why do you think you need a new lawyer? What would make you want to buy a new piece of equipment? So you need to know that first before you waste a ton of time. Maybe they say, because my old accountant was too expensive. Oh, really? What was he charging you? Hell, that's less than I would charge you. Find out why. You have a process you follow. I mean, I have a process I teach people, the OBS sales process. It's got 7 steps. And the whole time along the way, it allows us as salespeople to keep 50% of the leverage in a transaction. If we had 51% leverage, then all we could say is, here, it cost $1 billion. I want cash in a suitcase. Bring it to me now or shut the hell up. That's what we could do. And in effect, that's what buyers do to us, and we give them all the control. Come here, do a little dance, do a little jig. Let's see how high you can jump. Maybe, just maybe, I'll buy from you. If not, I'll buy from somebody else. Why do we put up with that shit? Let your competitors play that game. Don't you play that game. You're not the right fit for everybody. You're not there to make friends with people. Don't be an ass, of course, but your job is to be the one to have somebody trust you enough to give you money to make a problem go away. Follow a process that in effect disqualifies the prospects who are just kicking tires. Do they admit a problem? If they don't admit a problem, no reason to keep talking. Is that problem pain? Is there a personal, compelling gap between where they are and where they want to be that they say out loud. Not that you guess, but that they have said, if I don't fix this, this is what happens, and I don't want that to happen. If you're saying to yourself, nobody ever tell me that, you're probably right. It's because you don't know how to get them to tell you that. They would if you knew how. And then you got to find out, do they have a budget? And budget's not just money. I don't care if they've got $1 billion, right? But they may not want to spend the money for what you have. And it's not just money, right? It's also time. How much time is it going to take to implement what it is you have? And also resources. How many people do they have to move around or affect to take on that change? Software, a big example. Maybe the money's one thing, but shit, we got to get a whole bunch of employees on board to get this thing working. So it's more than just money. Time, resources, and then also how they're going to make a decision. When are they hoping to make a change? Why then? Who else needs to be involved in the decision-making process? What do they need to see or hear from you? Who else they talking to? These are things you need to know before you share a bunch of information. Quite frankly, you don't need to be sharing, and don't take me too literally, but it doesn't matter what you know until you know these folks are ready. Because if they're not ready, why in the world would you give them a price? You're trying to protect them to keep from wasting their time by asking these questions. See, if you play by their rules, you're not helping. You're just a freaking whatever, sales monkey. You're adding no value. I mean, sometimes the best value you can add is, look, dude, I don't think we're the right fit. I don't want to waste your time. And remember, there are two questions the buyer has to ask, has to answer. Number one is, are we going to do something? Are we going to do something? I'm going to get a new attorney, or I'm going to buy a new piece of property, or I'm going to buy something, or I'm going to sell something. Are they or not, right? That's step number one. And number two is, am I going to do that with you? Don't assume that their answer is the same. Yes, I'm going to sell this piece of property. Doesn't necessarily mean they're going to list it with you. But the first step is you got to get them to say, I'm going to fix this somewhere. And then they're going to decide with whom. Don't conflate those two. No, those are two separate things. After that in your process, you need to figure out, what is it I need to show them? Do I need to tell them everything? If they've committed that they're going to fix it somewhere, and they've agreed to tell me yes or no as whether or not they want my help, all you need to show them is what it is that how you're going to solve their pain. If there's extra stuff that's neat, but it doesn't really address their pain that they have, shut up. Don't talk about it. You'll just confuse things. Your job is to solve pain, not to impress people with all that you know. They buy from you. The next thing the last thing you do is make sure that they don't have buyer's remorse, or they don't, as you say, to buy back what it is you've already sold, right? That they don't wake up in the middle of the night and panic and go, oh my God, I can't believe I just spent that much money. Or I took this back to my people and they raised hell. Also got to make sure that they're, if you have a complicated onboarding process, you got to make sure they understand that. Here's the thing. We have this, I've got a client that sells big, heavy equipment, and they said, there are 8,000 moving parts. There are 71 fluids and 8,000 moving parts in this piece of machinery. We have a pretty good test that we use to go over it. We're pretty good at it, but every now and then we miss something. So if you come across, if one of the gauges doesn't look right, or smoke happens, or it's not working exactly what you hoped it would, pick up the phone and call us. It's not going to be perfect. It almost never is, but we'll come fix it. Let people know. And if it ends up being perfect, good for you. Nobody believes it's going to be perfect. You might as well admit it. As soon as you promise something's perfect, you're going to look like a fool and a liar. People want to know what to do when there's a problem. See, this is all a process. You keep control. As long as you holding on to your information, until you give up your pricing and you give up how you're going to fix it, you have control. As soon as you do, you got nothing. If you're selling on personality, the first thing you want to do is get that information out there, because they already like you. They're going to like you, and you can just convince them. Good luck with that. Maybe you can make a nice living, but you work 71 times as hard as somebody who maybe doesn't have as cute a personality as you, but knows how to follow a process. You know, people hear that, they're like, gosh, that makes perfect sense. Why did I never thought about that before? I don't know. I was stunned when I learned it too. What I know is it works. People that sell based on their personality, mostly what that means is they talk too damn much. They're too impressed with themselves. Selling's never about you. Selling's always about the prospect. If you're doing it right, they barely even see you in the room. They get to be the hero because they made the right choice. You were just the guide that helped them get there. WS Sales Team, I appreciate you very much. I'm so glad to be here with you all. I've gotten great responses from you over the last couple of weeks where you've sent me emails, tell me what you've learned. I'd love for you to continue to do that. If you are thinking after listening to this podcast, holy shit, what is he talking about sales process? What is that? I need to know more about that. Or gosh, I've been selling on personality. What do you mean that's not the right way? I need to find out more about that. Or even, I'm going to call you Walker and show you how full of shit you are. Please. Love to have that. Those are the conversations I love to have. If you're an entrepreneur growing a business, a business owner who is struggling because you need to get sales up by hook or by crook somehow, and you want to figure out how to do that, I'm happy to talk to you. Don't know if I can help you or not, sincerely, but I'm happy to have a 30-minute conversation. Email me, walker@walkermckay.com. Go to my website, walkermckay.com. Book a meeting. Let's have a conversation. Maybe there's a way I can help. Thank you very much. Look forward to hearing from you, talking to you. Please like this, rate it, subscribe it, share it with one person that needs to hear this message. Go get them.